Oh boy, they brought back Chip and Dale, they made a new Rescue Rangers movie, and they did it in the style of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, with cartoon characters appearing next to real actors. After the first trailer dropped, the movie even has often been described as a spiritual successor to Roger Rabbit, and fittingly so, not only for the mix between animation and live action, but also for its genre and setting, about washed-up toons past their prime and a whodunit crime mystery, although in this case not a murder mystery, but a series of kidnappings. Toons getting abducted and only later resurface horribly mutilated in bootleg versions of their own movies. A great premise for a movie about toons set in the real world, and a great case to take on for the adorable crime-solving rodents and their dipteran buddy. So
what could possibly go wrong?
Everything. The trailer already looked incredibly cheap, and it didn't get any better with the actual movie. The 3D characters look alright, even though supposed to look like shit, but the 2D hand-drawn characters just look off. And the reason for that is simple. From what I've come to know, this is because they aren't actually 2D, but just more 3D characters with a filter on top that has them appear to be 2D, like cel shading. And in some scenes they are animated at a really low frame rate, I guess to further have them appear hand-drawn. There are a few actual 2D characters, but they're mostly in the background and don't have too complicated animations and appear mostly in static shots or with simple camera movement. This is what Disney money nowadays gets you. A movie completely built on nostalgia that doesn't compare in the least to its more than 35-year-older predecessor. I mean, just look at the animation in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Look at the detail, look at the amount of moving parts, look at the dynamic way the camera moves. This wasn't easy to do, and it doesn't always look right. But damn, it's just full of heart and charm and talent. Whenever there is a scene in Chip and Dale where the toons interact with other actors or the environment, it's always very basic. Actors sit or stand a few meters away from the toons and just casually talk to them, and the toons don't move around too much, so that the actors don't need to remember too many things at once as to where to look at in any given moment, and the special effects and post-production people don't have to animate and correct too much. Most of the time the people don't react to or even notice what's going on. Again, Roger Rabbit showed so much attention to detail. The toons manipulate objects in the environment all the time. They shove human actors out of the way or hold onto them. They hand over or receive objects. They interact with the environment while the human actors do so too. There was a lot of trickery involved, but the results were astounding. When the weasel splashes Eddie and after that Roger sticks his head out of the sink and spits out even more water. And just look at the way the handcuffs behave that tie the toon and the human together. Especially in a scene shortly after, where Eddie is trying to saw through the handcuffs on a shaky box, and Roger moves around, escapes from the cuffs and steadies the box, just to stick his hand back through the shackle afterwards. The effects often look a bit gimmicky and are certainly only here to show off, but then again, the team had a hell of a reason to show off, given their talent. And again, there's just so much attention to detail. This is the greatest extent of toon environment interactions in Chip and Dale. And whenever the actors interact with the toons in a more substantial way, it looks really bad. So yeah, from an animation standpoint, the toons are pretty bad, but animation isn't everything. I mean, it should have been the most important aspect to get right in a movie like this, but I digress. It's great enough to even have all those different animated characters that bring so much to, yeah, you know where this is leading. All the cameo characters are bland, unimaginatively presented, and add nothing to the scenes they were carelessly thrown into. It's all just references, nostalgia, references, fond childhood memories, references, near-dead IPs that might fool one sucker into believing that at least one person on the production team cared about any of this, and even more references. Oh look, it's Roger Rabbit. Hey, that's Scrooge McDuck. Oh, it's Randy Marsh from South Park. There's even Ugly Sonic. And he doesn't act like Sonic in any way. Yeah, it's played for a joke. He isn't Sonic, he's Ugly Sonic, and he has his own thing going.
That's Sonic's thing. Ugly Sonic goes slow, baby.
But he encapsulates just the whole problem with the Toons in this movie. Aside from a handful of minor background characters, none of them are in character. In this world, the Toons are actors, who only played their iconic characters, but aren't anything like them in real life, aside from Dale. And Gadget at least claims that her movie character and her actual character are the same. Though, not really. And I guess this can work, but not the way this movie did it. The Toons are just there. They don't behave the way we know them, but they're also not over-exaggeratedly different. They behave like normal, down-to-earth people. They didn't need to be Toons. I mean, why even use the Toons and not their voice actors or animators or motion capture models? When you don't play to a Toon's strengths. Just look at Baby Herman from Roger Rabbit. Yeah, that one isn't a cameo, but an original character created for the movie. But my example still works. Because he is, same as the Toons in Chip and Dale, only an actor whose iconic persona is just an act. In his movies, he is an adorable little baby that always gets into mischief, but when he's off stage, he's a foul-mouthed middle-aged man who's addicted to cigars. He's still clearly a Toon, a parody of real life, while still being an actor in this universe. But why is the Colonel from 101 Dalmatians just blowing bubbles? Why is there a bored Toon kid in the background? Or what about He-Man? The whole joke is that he is mildly uncomfortable by being touched on his shoe while sitting next to Skeletor signing autographs. These aren't jokes. The writers just sprinkled in characters we already know and love and memes we already find funny as substitutes for actual humor. Look, it's He-Man. Look, it's the My Little Ponies. Look, it's Zack Snyder's Batman. Look, it's Shrek. And when the movie tries to tell an actual joke, it's really drawn out and lacks any comedic timing or a good setup or a punchline. It's mostly the characters just talking to each other about slightly humorous stuff, sometimes, for hours on end. At least it feels like it.
Are you talking to us?
Obviously. I said, who are you?
Well, right. But in fairness, it looks like you're talking to that window.
Nope, it actually looks like I'm looking right at you.
They even comment on badly executed jokes in the beginning, but then they just make the same mistakes. They also make a joke about having a way too serious modern pop version of the original theme song instead of just playing the original theme song everyone loved to hear. And then they actually played the way too serious pop version.
Do you think we could get like a pop star to do the theme song?
Yeah, right. Like a super serious version, even though everyone just wants to hear the original.
I kinda expected one of the characters to complain about the song and switch to the original with a record scratch sound effect or something. But no! They played it straight. The only time we get to hear the main theme, aside from a few notes transitions here and there, is during the intro, really quiet while Dale narrates over it.
Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers. We had finally done it! Our own TV show.
So it gets completely overshadowed by another licensed pop rock song. But hey, that one's a bop at least.
And even though we were in the same grade,
Tenacious D makes everything better. So the visuals are pretty weak, and so is the comedy. The music is bland, mostly, and the story doesn't fare much better. It's not bad, just very dull and unimaginative. It's a missing persons case, a bit of conspiracy, and it's about the estranged duo of Chip and Dale reconnecting over this case. I mean, it sounds pretty good on paper.
Too bad it's on toilet paper.
The movie just plays it too safe. It doesn't go far enough with it. And it's not all that well written, to be honest. The characters are too down to earth. Even the moments supposed to be outrageous are just unremarkable. I mean, this is a story about chipmunks trying to save a mouse with a strong Aussie dialect From an aging Peter Pan, a polar bear, and an uncannily rendered CGI dwarf, but it never surpasses the quality of slightly edited stand-up comedy. Really weak stand-up comedy. But what you expect from something starring Seth Rogen. The poor animation and uninspired editing also don't help in that regard. Same goes for the acting.
Help! Get us out of here!
There was a lot of potential for a great movie in here. It should have just been a classic Rescue Rangers adventure. They still could have taken the Roger Rabbit route and had the Rescue Rangers investigate other Toons and work together with humans. But this movie doesn't even feature the whole team, at least not together. Monterey Jack is the plot device for this movie and gets kidnapped at the start of the story and only reappears at the end. Gadget is mostly absent from the movie as well, because she and Zipper the Fly had to give the furries weird ideas.
No, wait!
It's mostly just Chip and Dale and some human policewoman and bad stand-up in an uninteresting, unimaginative and incompetently written and executed crime story with a weak twist, a weak finale, weak characters, weak action, and so on. There's nothing offensively bad in this movie, but also nothing worthwhile. There's just nothing of substance in this movie, just uninspired references, cheap CGI ridden with idle animations to save even more time and effort, and really bland comedy. There is no reason to watch this movie. It fails as a live-action animation crossover, it fails as a cartoon character free-for-all, and it certainly fails as a Rescue Ranger story.
The Rescue Rangers!
Yeah, you wish. This vapid, run-of-the-mill, unoriginal, lackluster movie devoid of any creative spark doesn't hold a candle to the masterpiece that is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Just watch that instead.
Besides, I was always more of an Alvin and the Chipmunks person.